Senator Williams, would you lead us in a prayer before we get started?
Well, pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for the many blessings and opportunities you bestowed upon each and every one of us, dear Lord. Dear Lord, please bless our first responders, our law officers, and our men and women in harm's way every day, dear Lord. Please bless the people of Israel and give us the courage and knowledge and wisdom to carry out the duties that we're sworn to uphold. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. First bill we have on the agenda today is SB 301. Back to Senator Williams. Whatever you prefer.
Are you going to invite me up? I'm going to invite, and I might need to introduce him. I'm not sure if many people realize who this man is.
That's good.
Unknown man with a very good tie.
Well, I spilled cartoon on it today.
Please state your name.
Pudding and Tang. Jeff Mullis, I'm proud to be here today.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I like it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman.
Wait, which bill are we talking about?
301.
This bill has been into effect some time, and as someone who has installed monuments and all over our community in several counties, and I realize the importance of what they cost, what they entail, and what they represent. And this bill just clarifies and cleans up existing laws so that Georgia's monument protection statute works the way the courts intended and the General Assembly intended. And it's a very simple bill. It just clears up some questions. It clarifies criminal liability by making clear that only individuals, not firms or entities, can commit a misdemeanor under this law. Local governments are given a clear, transparent process to remove unwanted monuments, including notice, public input, and relocation options. Also, it restores injunctive relief, allowing courts to stop illegal actions early instead of forcing costly, drawn-out litigation after damage occurs. A statewide monument registry is created to improve transparency, record keeping, and compliance across agencies. It strengthens protections for monuments on public property, including rare privately owned monuments located on public land without transferring ownership. This bill gives a clear authority to the Attorney General and local district attorneys to enforce the law if they choose, ensuring accountability. And just read in the paper just a couple of days ago, I think a monument in Clark County was defaced there in Athens at UGA. So this is happening more and more, and we just need to outline penalties and what can be done to strengthen this. Thank you.
Thank you.
We passed this bill many years ago, and in fact, the Lieutenant Governor signed the bill as well, and just found some loopholes we kind of need to clean up today. And you know, it takes care of all monuments, including the ones in the cemetery, for that matter.
Senator, you've had some experience with monuments and cemeteries a little bit.
Yes, I do. Matter of fact, I talked to one of my sons earlier this morning. A monument had gotten knocked over in a historic cemetery in Milledgeville, and our people were going with our crane truck and to re-erect this monument that was purposely knocked over and defaced. So yeah, this is something that's happening more and more, whether it's vandals or just idiots, I don't know.
And this bill gives an opportunity for the city or the county to have the monument, if it's not something that is something they want, replaced or moved somewhere else. So there's another opportunity here for that.
Thank you. Senator, again, you got a question?
Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to move due pass on LC 280736S.
would be appropriate. We got a motion and a second for due pass. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed?
Hey, one more thing.
Motion passes
I'd
3-1.
like to thank the Association of County Commissioners for working with us on this to make it more pleasing to them as well. All right.
Who?
Association of County Commissioners, ACCG. And also, I got permission from my son.
What was your name again?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Moving on, the next bill we'll take up is SB 437. That is one that I am carrying. Good afternoon. I'll be presenting SB 337. What this bill does, it's for clarification for third-party inspections. 430, yeah, I keep saying 3 for some reason. I keep wanting to go back to 3, but thank you. Yeah, 437. It provides clarification for third-party inspections, and also provides for virtual options dealing with inspections. Existing statute for third-party plan review and inspections, it already exists. Currently, there's a 30-day time frame from when it's applied, or when the permit is applied for. This bill would take that from 30 days to 10 days. It also it gives an option for a virtual inspection. It is not mandated that a municipality do virtual inspections. It is just an option. Now, there's 17 states that are currently doing virtual inspections. Here in Georgia, there are 3 municipalities that I know of that are doing some form of virtual inspections. It would be the City of Atlanta, DeKalb County, and Gwinnett County. In these types of inspections, I've heard some concerns from members. These type of inspections are done on it's visual inspections, like when you're dealing with like a roof inspection or a framing inspection, things of that nature. If it's a mechanical type thing, like you're dealing with, your HVAC, where you got to plug something in and get a reading, that would have to be done in person. And if the applicant decides to go with a third party, it would cut the governmental fees to 50% of the total fee. They're not doing the work that they normally would do, and it's still, I believe, very fair, them being compensated at 50%. It also creates one standard on the DCA website instead of many different forms and procedures. This just cuts red tape and streamlines the process. This is something, and that's basically all that the bill does. This is something that's been needed in the industry for quite some time. There's plenty of good actors with local municipalities, but there are some municipalities that do intentionally drag their feet for one reason or another. And when you're in the home building or the development business, time is money, and that interest clock, the bank still collects their note every month, and that clock continues to tick. So I believe these updates would help cut red tape and regulations, speed that process along, and also help the affordability process that we're facing here in the state of Georgia and frankly across the United States. We've got some folks that want to speak today. Let's see, do we have any? Go ahead, Senator, again, you got a question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. You said that a couple counties are actually doing this right now, and if it's not mandated, I think you mentioned that it's not mandated that a local government do this. If they're doing it, what's the purpose of the bill if they're already doing it in certain counties? If counties want to do it, can more counties do it, or what's? I'm trying to understand because you said you're not mandating that counties do this,
Yeah, it would be their choice. that's
or
right.
cities.
Yeah, right.
So if some counties are already doing it, what is the bill actually, I'm trying to understand, okay, we already got some that are doing it, so what's the point?
Yeah, it would basically codify it in law and set those standards for it
So speed things up?
and speed it up.
Okay, that's what we're hunting there, speed it up.
Go ahead, Mr. Whip.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've noticed, reading the summary of the bill, you've done some aggressive corrections. And I was wondering if you got any feedback from GMA or ACCG that they were concerned about any of this stuff?
Yes, yeah, I've had several meetings. We've got them on the list. Once we get through questions, I'll have them
And that's
come up
good. And if one thing too, if I could get a definition of a convenience fee in relation to this legislation. Because having worked in local government for over 31 years, I found that bureaucracy does not offer anything convenient to the taxpayer, and I wish I was being funny, which I've never understood why our government's not open on Saturday when everybody's off work, but we're definitely open during the hours when they have to be at work and they can't come and do the things they need to do to get things like this done. So I appreciate this legislation. I look forward to getting for that definition and listening to those other parties. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator. Any further comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, maybe I need to hear from some of the witnesses, but am I to understand, you're basically trying to streamline the inspection process, and if the county or city or municipality is dragging their feet on the inspection, the private individuals can get their own inspector, get the inspection done, but you gotta give the municipality or governmental entity notice, and they must acknowledge within 5 days. If they do not acknowledge within that 5 days, what happens?
If they do not acknowledge within the 5 days,
That you're going to use a private individual, or what happens one way or the other?
well, once you've given notice, then after that 5 days, you can use that third party.
Okay, if they don't want you to use a third party, can they refuse you to use a third party? I guess where I'm going.
No, not as long as it's a licensed
Okay, all right.
individual.
And
Oh.
is the city of Atlanta here to speak on this? Or the municipality, particularly, I'm in real estate, and I know
They
how
have
this
not
can
signed
be real
up.
hard. They can slow you down, and I know a lot of people would love this kind of thing that are trying to do some development work.
Yeah, and, this bill does two things, in my opinion. It does streamline the process, and we're talking about, interest clocks and things like that, with home builders, and like in any industry, those additional costs, a lot of times are passed on to the consumer, so this would help affordability as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Senator.
Definitely, thank you, Mr. Chair. Really appreciate this bill, spirit of the bill, and some of the details I do have questions about. How did we come up with 10 days versus any other days? So going from 30 to 10.
It's my favorite number. I'm just kidding.
Understood.
No, actually,
It is a
7
good
and 11
number.
are my favorite numbers. But coming up with 10 days, I'm in the industry working with other folks. As far as the process, seemed like a reasonable time frame. But I have been working with GMA and ACCG on that time frame.
Thank you. May I have another question?
Yes.
Are we open to clarifying it at 10 business days, being that oftentimes, knowing what it's like to be a commercial real estate owner, and it does cost real money, we want to keep things moving, but sometimes things happen during holiday times, weekends. I think maybe some clarification about 10 business days may help for those unique times, just to minimize unforeseen consequences. Would you think the committee would be open to that?
Yes, we would be. Any further comments or questions?
And one more, at the appropriate time, I'd love to offer an amendment.
Okay,
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? See any? Let's see what we got Jeff Ledford from the Realtors.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Jeff Ledford with the Georgia Realtors. I'll probably be the one person here that simply says this is a good idea, but I'm not the person you need to get into the mechanics with, because we don't do this other than, as you said, in real estate, sometimes, you know, it is one of those where the longer it takes, the more expensive it gets. We're here to speak to that. Anything we can do to bring the costs down for everything from housing to development and construction is always a good thing. But we will defer to the folks that are out there actually doing things that require the inspection, those that are constructing and building these structures, to the experience they're facing with it. I'm only here to say that, yes, we are experiencing the cost side of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we got one question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Whip.
Whoa, cheers. Yes.
Your mic's not lighting up for some reason.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sure. Absolutely.
Every time we're up here, every session, buzzwords come out and people ride them like horses till they die. Give me your definition of affordable housing.
No, honestly, that's a good question. Housing is not one particular thing. It is a full spectrum. So housing that is affordable to a first-time home buyer could mean one thing. Housing that is affordable to someone that needs 4 bedrooms, their family is grown, is a different thing. Those two things are not one and the same. What we prefer to look at is housing is something that should be attainable for those that wish to become homeowners. Housing is also something that should be attainable for those that wish to rent a property.
So in your definition, a nice apartment, townhouse, rental, that's housing also, right?
Absolutely. Anywhere someone can have as a dwelling
Right.
is housing in the sense of what we're looking at and discussing. You will hear numbers all over the place from, 1/3 of your income, that's the general recommendations. I don't look at that as affordable housing or not affordable housing. What we look at is housing costing more than it should for reasons that could be addressable.
Okay.
So when we see that 27% plus the cost of a house in Georgia is because of regulatory requirements,
Right.
that is why I'm here today. The time that it takes to get something inspected is adding to the cost. If we can bring that down, that brings it within reach to more folks.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. Good
It's,
question.
well, it's always good to get the definition from an expert instead of a politician, so I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Senator. Do you have a question?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Want to go draw a couple questions from starting at line 40. The applicant shall have the option of retaining at its own expense a professional provider to provide the required plan review or inspection conducted in person or virtually. And we're living in an ever-growing society with options being online. I think when we're talking about a building being reviewed, I'd like to see the inspector show up in person if you're going to have a private inspector. And here's my fear. You open up shop online, one person puts a license up, you got folks wherever reviewing all the stuff, and it's under that person's license. Until something catastrophic happens, and then we shut that person down, they could have had a whole approval mill running, and they never showed up in person. So can you explain any length of why we may want to allow these virtual building inspections?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. So the virtual inspections where they're used is for visual inspection, so it would be done like on a framing inspection or a roofing inspection. Mechanical type inspections, would be done in person. You'd have to be there to, plug in the machine to test the equipment, things like that. So it'd be more for the virtual type inspections. And, it will help streamline, the process, because if for some reason, you get a denial and inspector leaves and you gotta reschedule, and there's several days down the road where potentially it could be a fix that takes 5 minutes, and you could do that virtually as they watch you do it. Also, with the virtual inspections, I mean, they are geo-addressed, for verification, and then everything is recorded. So you could go back to review to make sure things are done correctly, or if there's issues, it's all documented via video.
And my last question, reading from lines 18 to 24, we've inserted the new section. Does this subvert the local governing authority's ability to do the inspections, saying you could, if you just notify them, come in with your own private inspector?
Are you talking about as far as their power? You talking about?
Well, shall acknowledge whether an applicant retain a private professional provider provide the required plan review or inspection. So if you, under this bill, would you then be allowed to get your own private inspector, not go through a city or county inspector?
That's correct, yes, sir. Yeah.
So my concern, again, if I wanted to subvert the process, I put a picture up of a framed house, put it on my iPad, took a picture from my iPhone or the iPad, and somebody said, oh yeah, well, what I saw, I reviewed, and that was good, but I didn't see that. That's not the picture I saw. Is any concern for oversight just to protect consumers?
Right. Yeah, and I do want to bring up Ian Cohen. I was going to let him testify. He'd probably be able to answer some of those questions for you better than I can.
So, thank you, everyone. And I'm usually in front of boardrooms, not these kinds of boards, so I apologize if my style is a little bit different. So to address your specific concern, virtual inspections are nothing new. This has been going on for at least 5 years, but especially with technology. It's important to understand when a virtual inspection is done, it's done by a licensed inspector. Those licensed inspectors are the same ones that come out of building departments. It's not a different trade or anything like that. Cities right now, especially in Georgia, are doing virtual. There's specific practices that you have to follow when you do a virtual inspection. You have to verify the address. You have to verify plans. Plans are supposed to be pulled up while you're doing those inspections. And so the inspectors who do virtual inspections almost have to go an extra mile to make sure everything is taken care of. The core responsibility of an inspector is life safety. And so I understand the concern and the trust factor here, but that trust factor is reliant on the contractor, and the same thing could be happening whether they're in person or not with regard to bad construction. Our goal from a inspection standpoint is to make sure everything is inspected to code and to plan.
Please stay seated. You got a few questions.
Sure.
Go ahead, Senator Howard.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming. I understand you traveled to make sure we have a good idea what's going on straight from your mouth, right? So
yes.
that's helpful. There's something that's still that's unsettling about the way technology is moving very fast, and we want to embrace technology, but we also know that technology is moving very fast. So I'm alluding to AI.
Mm-hmm.
I'm alluding to deep fake videos that can not only be deep fake when it comes to a person, but you may be able to deep fake, take Photoshop to the next level. So having a video that looks like a different construction site. I know technology does a very good job. Geolocation, all of that is wonderful. However, technology is so good that there are ways around it. And anybody who has teenagers knows there's a way around all these things. And I'm in my 40s, and I know people have been doing this for a long, long time. there seems to be a big hole here where we don't want to stop progress. We want to encourage progress. We want to encourage technology, but there seems to be an invitation. Speaking of the senator from the 2nd, folks have a way, and I would love to see some language that, just give a suggestion where an initial inspection is in person, but subsequent inspections can be physical or virtual. That at least gives that comfort of knowing that somebody physically was there, had eyes on the situation, and everything that you're seeing afterwards is a adjustment or a correction. So from the small guys like me who've been in part of this to the ones who are doing huge projects, we want to keep business moving, but we also don't want to wait and be reactive after something catastrophic happens, because everything was all done virtual and you find out there was this other thing going on. So just want to get your thoughts on
Sure.
that comment and your openness and willingness to, have an initial inspection in person and then open it up afterwards for follow-up inspections. There's always one more thing. Maybe those one more things can be done virtually.
Sure. So let me unpack the whole AI/deepfake and all of that. The responsibility from a corporate standpoint and from a relationship perspective is everything that we do is done contractually. We go through a significant amount of compliance requirements to work with a contractor to be able to perform inspections. With all the respect in the world when I make this comment, if a contractor who is already having difficulty embracing technology, trying to go the extra mile to do a deep fake or anything like that, I think that's a pretty big leap, right? Their goal is to make sure that what they're constructing, because they still carry the same liability, on that project that we would as a private provider. And so we've done probably over 250,000 inspections in the state of Florida in the last 2 years. We have never seen a situation where someone's tried to game the system. We've never had a situation where a claim has been filed because we failed something, we passed something that should have been passed. The inspectors that we're talking about are inspectors that come right out of the building department who are doing it in person, so they know what they're looking for. So I don't know if there's a lot of fear around the AI or the deepfake side. What I would suggest is that the most responsible private providers who are doing virtual aren't doing it via FaceTime. They're not doing it via Teams. They're not doing it via Zoom. They're doing it via a specific platform that makes sure there are certain things that are checked before that inspection is done, geotagging and those types of things. With regard to your comment about first pass should be done in person, that's not currently happening in Georgia. In Georgia, they're doing those first inspections virtually. And as I referenced, the ability to move projects through faster, especially during times of, after a hurricane or after storms or anything like that, gets inhibited if all of a sudden you have to wait on the city to do something before a private provider can get involved. One of the reasons why this bill, to me, is so important is it just removes that ambiguity of that shot clock. And I can say this, besides the cities in Georgia that are doing this, there's cities all throughout the state, throughout the country who are doing this because they've embraced the technological aspect of it and the trust factor. So, and I know there's a leap to get there, and that's what we want to work with to do.
If I may, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'll come back. I do have a follow-up about that.
I might be able to help you with one of them.
Yes, thank you. I'll defer.
If you got just a second, said some of my learned friends here will tell me that OCGA 16-10-20.1 provides a sentence of up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine for fraud against public administration. So somebody goes in there to say they're going to trick the geolocate or they're going to do this, they're going to jail or they're going to pay a big fine. This will be state law. State law.
So this gets to my follow-up because this is state law. You're currently out of state, coming up. You mentioned Florida. This is big. I know in Georgia this happens, but if we have I would feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we have a company that has either a Georgia base or some type of way where we can hold them accountable here in Georgia. So just, I would love to have a conversation about that. I know a lot of companies operate out of multiple states, but to Senator from the Second's point, if we have somebody who this morphs into, you're in California and you have a permit mill because you got whatever the case, we want to safeguard ourselves from folks who are outside of Georgia kind of making things happen fast out of expedience, and then we come back and say something goes belly up, and then our state law can't capture them because they've packed up shop and they're just a website. So
Steal it in Georgia, they do it in Georgia, they're gonna get the same
Yeah.
effect. Said
Yes.
I don't care where they're from, if they come to Georgia to do it, they'll go to jail. Your sheriff over there to your left, he can tell us more about that law enforcement business.
but I think you understand the concern. If this is all virtual, they don't have to stand foot in the state. And we just talked earlier in the chamber about folks dabbling in election stuff who don't step foot in here. We have to make some adjustments so we can go get the bad actors who are outside of the state. It seems that this could allow for, again, we know 98% of the folks are going to be doing their thing, and you mentioned the stats, but all it takes is one or two. And I just wanted to open up for a discussion. I don't claim to have all the answers, but it just seems that we have a hole that maybe this committee could come up with a solution.
Could I just make one quick comment? So
Please.
companies like ours and companies who operate within this industry have to be registered in the state. So it can't be a situation where it's privateprovider.com living wherever doing these inspections. You have to be registered in the state, and the people doing those inspections have to be registered at the municipal level. So it's the accountability is very, very, very clear. I think it's also important to note that the current statute also says that the city is completely indemnified of all liability. So companies like ours or other private professional providers are required to carry a higher level of liability insurance than the city would, just because there's that kind of catch up at this point. So I tell you that just to kind of put to rest some of the concerns with regard to the corporate structure and the corporate entity registration with the city, with the state.
And two, the penalties that Senator again talked about, and then also losing your license, which is your livelihood as well, is a pretty big deterrent, in my opinion. Yeah.
The thing we did discuss in the chamber about the long arm of the law, if there's criminal intent, the long arm of the law would reach into other states for these violations. So it would be no problem.
Thank you. Senator Mallow?
Thank you. In order to be an inspector in Georgia, you have to be licensed in Georgia. So this would address what you're talking about. They're gonna have to be licensed inspectors in Georgia. They're gonna have to pass Southern Building Code test, and so they're gonna have to be licensed in that area to even inspect in Georgia. So somebody that's only licensed in Florida could not inspect buildings in Georgia. They're gonna have to be licensed in Georgia.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
And they carry a national license called an ICC, or International Code Council license, which further cements their licensure.
Okay. Okay.
Senator
Sorry.
Mallow?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify, you can get a reciprocal license in Georgia to be a building inspector from several other southern states. You bypass the exam, so you don't have to just sit for the exam in Georgia. You could be licensed in South Carolina, and it will reciprocate to Georgia, and you bypass the exam.
Correct, but you have to be registered.
You do.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't have to sit and take the exam.
I believe you do. There's specific, I can come back with, specific examples for you.
Go ahead, Senator Sessler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to kind of divide this question. I'm going to share my thoughts on this, but I think the 10-day thing makes sense to me. The timeline, I like the timeline move. I'm just not personally comfortable with the overall practice of doing a building inspection virtually. When you think about going in and you think about from the fire code perspective for egress, You think about even if you're looking at a ADA accessibility in a restroom, you've got your pull distance and some things on doors and all. There's just a lot that's got to be done. Now, I don't know if you have someone on site that says, all right, show me the measurement of your pull distance from the door for
Yes.
accessibility code. I guess you're having someone there on site showing that while you're watching it online. It just seems, the practice of online inspection seems tortured to me. I mean, I was here when we started this third-party inspection process, and it has helped provide capacity. I think it's great as a concept. I'm just going to state, Mr. Chairman, I love the 10-day thing, but the idea that we've got buildings that are being certified to code 100% virtually, I just have an issue with that. I didn't know that's where this had all progressed to. I would say, I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, I did a physical inspection, and I have 3 punch list items, and you come back, right, okay, we're going to do the punch inspection. Okay, show me this dimension, this is fixed, okay, this slab condition, that's all good, check. When we're talking about pure virtual inspections, I think it's drifted outside of where the legislature started this. I don't care that it happens, I don't care where it happens. I think there's a public safety concern in this. I just have a public safety concern about it. I'm going to editorialize that I have an issue that for this kind of thing, I know it's a common practice, that the contractor gets to pick the inspection that gets to inspect their building. There's a lot of risk as a contractor. I know oftentimes contractors, they'll pick the CMT technicians, they'll pick the geotech. I mean, those are inherently owner functions. And if you look at a large scale project and you study design construction document, those are owner functions, material testing. I think inspection's an owner function as well. I have no issue that the builder pays them, but the fact that we've got builders that are picking their inspector, and then it's a virtual process. I want to express concern with that entire ecosystem, because I think it's great we have great professionals that have great experience to go on site and do a pure walkthrough inspection and say, yes, we certify this building to code. I just have an issue with the virtual delivery of that. I'm just saying, Mr. Chairman, the 10 days, I love it. We need to speed this along. There doesn't need to be any more delays. I'm just going to state I have concerns about the overall process, and that just needs to be aired on behalf of constituents who think like me, because I think the pendulum has swung further than it needs to. And it's not a comment on your organization or your people. You're following the law. I think the concern is not you all. The concern is us putting a framework in place that allows something to happen that I don't think is in keeping with the original intent of let's accelerate things. Let's not make it just dependent on the inspection staff. I think in many cases your folks are better trained because they can do it for a career. I think sometimes code officials may not be there that long. There's turnover. I love what you do. I'm not concerned about there being fraud. It's the margins. It's on the margins. Is it best? I'm just going to share that, Mr. Chairman. I support the 10-day thing. I'm concerned about the overall practice, and that's what some of the members were speaking to.
Yeah, I'm just curious to Senator Setzler's concerns. These inspectors that do it virtually, do they have the same amount of liability that a inspector would have if they went out and did it on site?
The liability requirement for a private professional provider is higher
Well,
than the city.
no, I understand that. Would it be the same? With the
responsibility is
Yeah.
exactly the same.
the responsibility is exactly the same, so the liability would be exactly the
They're the
same, and so the exposure would be exactly the same, right? They receive
Correct.
no immunity
No.
from civil process, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just comment on one thing, the process that we put forward as far as these changes gives the homeowner the ultimate decision making in this process. So they have to approve the use of a third party. It's not just an automatic, you have to use it. There's no requirement, there's no mandate that they have to use a third party to do virtual. the contractor is required to disclose that before, as part of the contract and all of that, because they have to do that at the time of permit application.
Do you remember buying your first home?
I do.
I was pretty young. There's a big stack of paper, closing table. They tagged all the things. I signed things. I don't know that homeowners have the sophistication to be able to sort of parse that. They may have the responsibility. I don't know the sophistication to do it. Ultimately, these things are in place because of public safety. Now, it's not, I know we've identified the cities. We said, cities, you're held harmless. You use the private inspector. You can't get sued for what the private inspector does. So we've covered those entities. I'm just concerned from a public perspective. I love what you do.
No.
I just have a problem doing it virtually for first inspection as a practice. I don't care what, in fact, we talked earlier, I gave him the courtesy of sharing this. Florida has a 8-year term limits on their legislature. Lots of things move in Florida that doesn't have senior members that just say, wait a minute. Things just kind of will sometimes fly through. Great state. I'm just expressing my concerns. I love the 10-day thing. I just think we need to monitor this more closely, and I'm just concerned that, I know it's not a larger buildings, bigger university buildings. They require IBC special inspections. Those are carved out of this. But I just wanted to share that, Mr. Chairman.
No, and thank you for that. And one thing to think about too with the virtual, I mean, it's not a mandate, it's optional as well. If the city has the technology and they're comfortable with it, this would just give them another option to help streamline the process. If they don't have the technology or they're not comfortable with it, then it's not forced on them. Senator?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming here. Where is your company located, sir?
So our headquarters are in South Florida.
South Florida. Thank you for coming here. And I like this whole concept of moving it, particularly the 10-day provision, as my colleague from the 37th has brought up. I, too, am a little concerned. I share the concern of my colleague from the 35th about that initial inspection, because so often a developer does, for example, a single-family house. If you are doing a meal, and you're doing so many, you're going to have your special people. And sometimes the independence might not be there to do the real work, and they just let it go through. And the problem is, with many of these issues, they won't come to bear for years. When you first have your first homeowner, if I do a development myself and just sell the house and just flip the house, it's too much work for a homeowner to try to find you to be responsible for that failure of that inspection. That's I like this bill. I really do. I love it, Bill. When I heard it and I said, hey, I like something that the Senator from 45th is bringing. I'm serious. But because I just went through a situation myself. It was just like hell, just getting its approval. So we need this bill. I just am concerned that initial inspection be in person if it's a third party that you choose, because the homeowner that you flip it to will not have they'll have to go through too much hell to get at the root of it. If they ever get to the root of why this happened, I am also a lawyer, and I know that sometimes getting to prove that your failure to inspect was the actual cause of the fire or the electrical whatever that went wrong. And Mr. Chairman stated that it's only for framing, and I don't know whether the bill is that in here where, for example, the electrical is being inspected, it has to be in person the first time versus virtual, because there's some things that you can see in person that you may or may not see if it's virtual. So I'm a little concerned about that. On line 41 says person or virtual. And in response to the gentleman from Savannah asking that question, but if it's mechanical, if it's framing, it's one thing, load-bearing wall, all that kind of thing. But if it's some things, I'm a little concerned about this first time But if it's just coming through the punch list, I don't have a problem with that because they've seen it and they can say, oh, you did this, and did this. Because what it says to me, if you have to come back, is they actually saw something the first time versus you just passed it through. And people are so creative now. The persons who will have liability will have been long gone. It's not the ones that are holding the bag now, because so often there's a third and fourth title holders, and what caused the actual problem. What, if any, impediments would there be if we did require, for example, the first pass to be in person versus the second pass with an independent? If you have a city or a municipality or government, they would have the independence, I would think, to even allow the virtual. But if I'm choosing the person, it's too close, it's not enough distance to not be a conflict of interest to me. Because I'm going to choose you to come out and get my job done because I want it done so I can sell it next week.
So I think there's two things I want to immediately address on what you mentioned. One, if we flip that script and said someone went out there and did it in person, show me the proof of that inspection. Show me what it looked like at the time of inspection. Can't do it. Virtually, you can. Virtually, there's a digital record, there's an archive of what that inspection looks like. And so the doing it, again, I'm saying this with all due respect, because I think the education around how virtual inspections are performed is no different than how an inspection is performed in person. They almost have to go a little bit further on the inspection to make sure everything is according to code and according to plan. With regard to the passing of the liability from the first person to the next person to the next person, if that same scenario happened with the city, it would be a lot harder to prove it with the city than it would be with a third party. And that homeowner, the payout on that claim would be a lot less than it would be with a private provider. I don't want to make this a financial decision or a financial policy. I'm just providing details around that. With regard to the virtual aspect of this, and per what the ICC has said, from a record-keeping standpoint and from a review perspective, they do not distinguish between virtual and in-person. There is no clear science to say that we found this here, we found that there. We've come behind cities before and found things that they missed. And so I would say it's a little bit more detailed, and you definitely have a digital record of that going forward.
Senator Howard.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate this discussion. We're talking a lot about individual homes, but am I correct in this would also apply to large-scale buildings? If we're talking about an apartment complex, a school, would I be correct that this applies to across the board?
I'm sorry. It would apply to anything that the inspector's licensure would allow to them to inspect.
In the follow-up, we were just confirming that you can be licensed and not be in Georgia because there's a mechanism for that. Correct. Is that correct?
Correct.
So just following that logic, is it possible based on our current law that you can have an out-of-state licensed inspector never set foot on Georgia soil and be completely responsible for inspections, first pass, second pass, third, in a home or hospital or school, and they've never set foot in the state of Georgia?
Yes, it's happening right now.
That's concerning to me, that it's happening now and that we are looking at moving forward without maybe taking a handle. I don't even claim to know the solution, but I do think it's good to say that out loud.
No,
hold on one second, sir. My my constituents would be very concerned to know that their school that their child is going to move into could potentially be built by folks with this wonderful industry in Georgia labor, but be checked, be inspected by someone who's never stepped foot in Georgia. Not saying that's the normal, but that's the fact that that's true, and it happens, and it will continue to happen based on this. That gives me great concern.
Thank you. I think you're finally done with questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Next up, we've got Mark Ivy Homes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Mark Ivy. I'm with Ivy Homes, and I'm also here representing on behalf of the Home Builders Association of Georgia. We've utilized third-party inspections on many of our projects. They do help streamline it, and I would say it saves, on a typical house, it could save as much as 2 to 3 weeks in build time. So we're in support of continuing to use third-party inspections, and the virtual option sounds fascinating to me. Right now, if an inspector comes and checks on our houses, all I get is a list of anything they found or an approval. I don't know what they looked at. I don't know what they checked. There's nothing. If I have a third-party inspector that's virtually doing it and there's a digital record that I can now save in my system and I can pull up and look, that sounds great to me. So we're in support of this bill. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Senator Sessler?
Yes, sir. I love the record as well. I guess the question is there anything that keeps a virtual record, sort of a video record from happening with a physical inspector? Because I would ask you this, and if you were, and I appreciate what you do, love what you do, as a builder. Let's say you took a loan and built a $2.5 million headquarters building, and it was built by a third party. Say you're focused on your residential business, you had a commercial builder friend of yours build it. Would you accept your building without walking through it and checking it yourself?
As the end user of that building, I certainly would walk through it and check it.
That's the point.
So a homeowner would too. So when I sell a house to a homeowner, they have the option to hire their own home inspector to come check behind me. And we do what's called a homeowner orientation tour, which we demonstrate to them all the functions of their house. Where's your water shut off? Where's your power shut off? How do ground fault circuits work? All of that stuff. How do you light the gas logs? How does your heat strips work in your furnace? How does a hot water heater work? All of that is demonstrated to them. They're also given a book. So they have the opportunity to do a physical inspection of that home before we deliver it, just like if that was my office building being built by a third-party contractor, I would also do that same inspection upon completion of that building.
And that's all I'm saying. Just setting all the legislative talk aside, just breaking it down. You're not going to move into a commercial building without walking through and putting your mark on, professional eyeballs on it yourself, and
Right.
seeing what's there. You're not going to. You wouldn't want to have a virtual inspection of a building that you'd sign. You release all the retainage. You'd say, "I got it. Got my certificate of occupancy." And move on. You wouldn't do that without walking through it yourself. The concern is, should members of the public who don't have the technical capacity themselves depend on a system that we, the legislature, have set up for them, that the professional eyeballs that have seen their building was virtual. Now, I get the fact that you can record it, but you could record it with a human being walking through there with a GoPro or a camera. It's not the idea that virtual has some benefits as it's delivered today doesn't preclude a person walking through and doing that. So, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm saying what we're trying to weigh here is, I don't think you'd move into a commercial building yourself without you yourself, with your expert experience, walking through, looking at it. And citizens want that too. Just a human being walking around saying, "What's that? Something looks off." That's all.
So we build about 200 houses a year, and I don't know that I've ever had a homeowner ask me for inspection records on a house that we built. When we're done and they move in or walk through at the end, they're looking at the fit and finish. They're excited about moving in. They're not looking for, hey, how was this house inspected? We want to know all this detail. I never get asked that question. And yes, a current inspector could walk through with a camera and they could video it all just like the virtual does. But there's another part of the virtual that I like as well, is that I've got a group now that is trained to do these inspections. They have a system. So I've been in our houses when an inspector walks in before, and some of them have a little bit of a system, some of them have none. As a builder, that's my last line of defense. I want a good inspector. You know, a lot of the comments I hear, it's like, well, these builders and developers, they're all bad. They're all crooks, and that's not true. The vast majority of us want to build a good home. We want to deliver a solid product to the end buyer. And so we want a good inspection. And when I've got a highly trained, highly capable inspector, whether they're in person or virtual, it doesn't matter to me. It's a benefit to me as a builder. I want them to catch anything that we may have missed. I've got my first line of defense is my superintendent on the job. My second line of defense is that inspector. My third line is if they've hired a home inspector at the very end before they close to do that inspection. That's the last opportunity for another set of eyes to catch something that might have been missed. So we welcome, you know, thorough inspections. The virtual option is very intriguing to me. I have not seen it done, but it sounds like it's a great option. Technology is changing. It's time to embrace some of this technology change and figure out how can we deliver houses quicker and more efficiently to the end consumer. And if I get a better house along the way, that's great.
Thank you. Senator Williams?
How does this work? Who is actually holding the camera going through videoing, filming the inspection? Maybe I need to ask that question to him.
Mr. Cohen would be the right one to answer that.
Yeah.
Because they do that every day.
Is it gonna use a drone to go through the house, or, that's what I can't figure out, is who's manning the camera? So, yeah, we'll go back and ask him that at another time if that's appropriate, Mr. Chairman.
If you'd like to come up to the second witness microphone and answer that question, that'd be great. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Whip. No,
Williams said, and I'm on 2. When I was responsible for Homeland Security for the City of Columbus, we did a lot of our bridge and dam inspections and other critical infrastructure using drones. A lot of them. We didn't have human beings to go out there to put ladders up and all this. We were looking for integrity of the structure and stuff like this. So there's a lot of opportunities with it. They were using small, we used to call them everything from throw-bots to, I mean, they're the size of your hand that you could put out there, and they would go and look into the cracks and crevices, a lot of this stuff. So technology does provide some of that stuff out there.
Yeah,
So
that-
for
that-
bigger structure.
Yeah, thank you.
So, my mic. So to answer your question, our inspectors connect with the contractor in the field. So it would be the super, or it would be a roofing contractor or a plumbing whatever it is, for them to hold the device, and the inspector directs the contractor where to go, what to grab, and all of that. And while our inspector is viewing that video, they are taking screenshots. Best practice, take screenshots of specific aspects of that inspection.
So the inspector is telling the roofer, show me the ridge vent, show me
Nail pattern.
all of that, show me where you've weaved the shingles in the valley, get us close up of that. I want to see how that's done.
Correct.
So it would be a human
Yes,
holding that, okay.
correct.
So then the electrician, when he's ready to have the electrical work inspected, then he calls up the inspector, and the inspector tells the electrician, show me the panel box, show me
Breaker size.
the breaker size, everything, show me what you've got, and show me where it is, okay? Does that clear some things up for you, Senator? I mean, I'm learning too.
Yeah, and I just want to remind the members, it's not a mandate, it's an option. So it's another tool in local municipalities' toolbox. If they've got the technology and the funds to appropriately do inspections virtually, it's not, and if they don't, or if they choose not to do those, that they can do them the same old way. And we allow doctors to issue medicine to us virtually. There's many other things with technology that have moved along in my short time here in the legislature that we've had to update, and I believe this is just another measure.
I'm still trying to figure out that virtual dentistry. That's what I'm still trying to figure out. But what I do like is the city, if they turn something down, they got to give that builder a list and give it to them in writing what is the shortage is and what needs to be corrected or what they're looking for. So we do need to get things expedited. I've seen it in a lot of my district where it's got to be expedited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the gentleman referencing Florida, I live in Savannah, represent Chatham County, a portion of it. And I do remember, and fact check myself while I was sitting here, a lawsuit came across my screen for D.R. Horton. And inside of that lawsuit, they allege some of the issues for those consumers and those homeowners came because of virtual inspections and the practice and how they used those virtual inspections, which has led to litigation in several states. And D.R. Horton is the largest home builder in the United States. And one of the practices they employed was virtual inspections to subvert that local process, mainly in Florida. So I don't think Florida is the best poster child for this, as I have read all of the comments sitting here that those homeowners are now struggling to find a remedy because of the abuse of a virtual inspection.
I heard the same thing, but it wasn't done virtually. It was done in person and that was with Lennar.
With Lennar, but they've got a whole slew of lawsuits here. They're private inspectors and then the virtual inspectors as well. I was sitting here reading the whole thing.
Then I'll just make a comment to that as well. I mean, I'm sure there's lawsuits with in-person inspections as well. I mean, there's issues whether you're in person or you're virtually. I don't know if the virtual part actually caused that lawsuit or not, but I think you'd have, if you research it, you'd see lawsuits with in-person inspections where people make mistakes. Go ahead, Mr. Whip.
And to my friend from Savannah, you said that was with what company? Was it Horton? Okay. All right. And I think we have to be careful because I think it was something said a little bit earlier. And I hate to keep using the same phrase throughout the day. I don't like buzzwords. But we're going to have bad actors in every profession. There are contractors in my district that people talk about all the time. There's one or two, but there's hundreds of men and women who build homes in Columbus and LaGrange and throughout that do really, really good work. So I think if we're going to think that we go out there and everybody we find are going to be the top shelf, I think we're going to be disappointed. And so while we do have to be very careful to make sure that we're giving somebody the opportunity to do what's best for them, reduce costs of housing and other things, at the same time, when we run across those that don't do it right, we have to be careful that we don't paint with a broad brush. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We got Joel with ACCG.
Mr. Chairman, would you permit me to have somebody else on your list join me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Joel Truss. I'm with the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. We represent all 159 counties in the state proudly. I'm also joined by Mrs. Susan Carpenter, who's with the Building Officials Association of Georgia, and I hope I got that right.
You did.
Yes, so I'm going to give a very brief statement, and then I'm going to give the floor to her. So I won't hold you in suspense. Currently, we're working with the author of the bill and also across all channels to negotiate on this bill. We do not have a formal position at this time. Our hope is that we can continue to negotiate. However, we do have some serious concerns. At the top of that list is local control. No matter how you cut this process, it will cut back on what our counties can do in terms of permitting authority. This includes several processes that are not county related, but we do have to oversee. This is state and federal mandates we have to do. Soil and erosion control, stormwater management, things like that, that we have to oversee that are included in the process that naturally lengthen the timeline of any review. So that has to happen regardless of whatever shot clock we include here. We are concerned, our members are concerned preliminarily about the 10-day shot clock. We would ask for more time, and we're happy to work with you on seeing how we can make that happen. Other than that, we're happy to continue working with the author of the bill and this committee to see if we can get some good public policy out of this bill. And with that, whatever time I have left, I'll give to Mrs. Carpenter.
In working with y'all in GMA, talking about days, increasing those days to 10 days, because currently the way it is, it's just 10 days.
Yes.
But then, also to be clear, like if the 10th day falls on a weekend or a holiday, it bumps to the following Monday.
Yes.
But if it were increased to a meeting in the middle type between the 30 days and I guess it would be meeting in the middle, but 30
Yes,
to 10, but.
I think right now we're welcome to meet in the middle, at least right now. We do believe that going to business days or at least 15 would help our members out quite a lot. It's just in terms of, like you said, holidays, any other sort of occurrence that will close the office would still be included in that. And I believe Ms. Carpenter has some more on that.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for having me. As you said, my name's Susan Carpenter.
Hold
I
one
rep-
second.
ahead.
Senator's got a question. Senator again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My friends in local government, I know it's hard to put 10 days in effect, said if you had 15 business days, that way somebody's out on vacation for a week, some small communities would need something like that. Would 15 business days work on the bill for you?
I think it's a step in the right direction, sir.
Is that an answer of yes? It's a yes or no question.
Yes, sir. Ms. Carpenter? Yeah.
Do you mind if I answer that?
Well, if you're representing all the counties and cities of Georgia, that works pretty good for me.
Well, I am representing all the building officials and cities and counties in Georgia when it comes to reviewing building permits.
Okay.
And so the issue that we have, as I said, I'm Susan Carpenter. I'm with the Building Officials Association of Georgia. We represent building officials for cities and counties throughout the state. I will add that I work for a private engineering company, so our company outsources building officials, building inspectors. We act as a building authority for several jurisdictions. I have Doraville, I have Dunwoody, I have Clayton County, I have Forest Park, I have College Park. We provide the residential inspections for Atlanta. I'm the building official for City of Mulberry. I also have a team who is a third-party team. So I am on both sides of the counter. I understand thoroughly both sides. I have a team that provides third-party inspections in Atlanta and throughout the state. So with regard to the 10 days, 10 days, it's impossible to...
We're talking 15 business days.
However, it's impossible to apply those same standards to across the board. You cannot, when you're residential, commercial, when you're dealing with an accountant's office, 1,500 square foot in a strip center versus Mercedes-Benz Stadium. These are very complex building systems involving fire, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, many, many different components, many, many different types of reviews, many, many different agencies involved. We can't even start our reviews until other agencies have completed theirs, because health department, fire, agriculture, any other agency that has to review these, we can't begin ours because all of these systems are intermingled. If they have changes, deficiencies that they identify, for example, if the fire marshal finds a deficiency with an alarm system or a sprinkler system, that's going to have changes to the electrical and plumbing system. So we can't even review the electrical and plumbing system until those reviews are complete. If the health department finds issues with the cookers, the exhaust system, the heat, the warming systems, any of their components, the size of their grease traps, anything that relates to plumbing, that makes mechanical, fuel gas, electrical, all of that, they make changes to those plans, that changes our plans. Same with any, if it's a gas station, that goes to the Department of Agriculture. The grocery stores, that goes to the Department of Agriculture. All of those reviews have to be completed before we can even begin ours. So just because somebody uploads their plans to the city or county, we can't even begin ours. So the clock should not start until we can, so the application isn't complete until we can start those plans. And to apply that, slap on a 15-day review for a subway that you would put for a 50-story high-rise, or a hospital, or a prison, or a school, or Mercedes-Benz, or the Georgia World Congress Center, it's not appropriate. And that is putting speed over a comprehensive life safety and building safety review. So although many cases you can apply a 15-day plan review, if it's a residential or if it's a simple commercial, you can't just across the board say that, because they are very, very complex systems, and those have to be taken into consideration. Currently, Senate Bill 49 allows for the issuance of a permit if you haven't, if at 30 days, if you haven't received comments on your plan review. Within 30 days, by law, you get your permit. That's the current law, Senate Bill 49. And although we are happy to, and there are bad actors, we understand, but there are also very responsive jurisdictions within the state of Georgia. That is a very serious matter that I hope that the committee considers when considering these limits. I would also like to clarify some language on the virtual. Doraville, I'm the building official for Doraville. We also do virtual inspections in Doraville. We were one of the first. I attended hearings way back in 2019. I'm well aware of the requirements and the specifications set for virtual inspections. First of all, it's not licensed inspectors. That's incorrect language. They're certified. There's no licensure for inspectors in Georgia. Secondly, there's only two paths for certification in Georgia for inspectors. That's the International Code Council or through our organization. Those are the Building Officials Association of Georgia. Those are the only two paths recognized by the state. Florida has a different building code altogether than Georgia. We are under the 2024 Building Code with our own amendments. In fact, before this meeting, I left the Department of Community Affairs, where I serve on the State Codes Advisory Committee, working on the permissive code adoptions for January 1st, 2027. They're completely different codes than Florida. As far as the documentation of an inspection, their company or other companies may document those. There's no requirement for it. So getting a virtual inspection, they may or may not keep records. There's no requirement. Also, they are very limited in the scope of what a virtual inspection should be. A water heater change out, maybe an HVAC change out. We used them very limited during COVID. It was a very good way not to have to enter somebody's home, and we could deal directly with the technician. Under no circumstances do we recommend using them for a framing or a complicated commercial inspection. There is no substitution for an in-person inspection. And they can be used at a limited capacity for a re-inspection if you have
If
one
I could
thing
stop you
going.
right there, I think Senator Ginn might have something that might ease your mind a little bit.
I want to see the bill move forward. I want to see things happen. I've got to run to another committee meeting. Said my esteemed chair here is willing to concede, hey, let's make this to single-family residential homes. Let's put a, if we want to put a cap of 10,000 square feet. I think there's a lot of things that you can do to the bill to get it there. And I hate to do this, Mr. Chair, but if you would entertain it, I would ask that are you in agreement that we could table this till our next meeting? I do know there's other people that need to speak on it. One of the things I will tell you, I'm cognizant of the fact that the building inspection officials, they have asked that we do some things to protect them from bad dogs and bad people that are out there trying to assault them. And so one of the things, the virtual helps in that regard. There's a lot of positives that come about in this bill, but to me, I think there's a couple of things you need to work through. If ACCG is not ready to commit one way or the other, can y'all work together a little bit? I'll get off that as a suggestion if you're inclined, and if so, then I'll make my motion.
Yeah, because we've got another amendment as well, extending that out. We're covering several of the issues. I'd like to move it forward if we could.
Well, there's also some mandatory codes that are not included. The mechanical code is not included. The energy code is not included in this. And there's a lot of other things that really need to be addressed. Who is issuing the CO? There's no indication for that. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in this that haven't been, I believe.
Thank you.
I'm willing to work with you, and in the spirit of working with you and you, Chairman Gann, I would agree to the 15 days, 15 business days.
Thank you.
Are you good with the single-family residents putting it to that? They, instead of making a lot of different amendments to it,
Okay.
would it be better to let Legislative Council kind of work through it for us and then bring it back as a committee sub? And would you be, and I mean, we can call a meeting anytime you want to, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah, I know we can. I've got the amendment, Senator Howard.
Thank you. I want to introduce this amendment, and I appreciate the 15 business days. It just sounds like there's some other, I really appreciate the Senator from the 47th's idea, because I think a lot of our concerns have to do with scale, and if we can, but I don't know how on the fly, we're saying single family or 10,000 square feet or less, if there is a way to push, but just to make sure we cover that, I would feel more comfortable personally, because this is one piece, but there are a few others that I would feel more comfortable with that as well, just respectfully.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, I am a nonprofit developer. I would love to see these changes come back in the form of a substitute, and I give you my commitment. If we could come back with a sub, I would absolutely make the motion to pass so that we would have all of this, so we're not.
Even with a virtual piece?
Mr. Chairman, if we came to some consensus and put some guardrails in with the other codes that need to be included, absolutely, I'll concede that I would support that.
Okay.
And come back with a sub.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I hate I gotta run.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Senator.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I would just say in the spirit of this dialogue, let me ask a question. You talked about the virtual inspections in Florida are a much more focused scope for a specific item. Are you saying that it's a narrower scope that's being practiced in Florida than what's being contemplated in this bill? This is a broader scope of virtual inspections, what you're saying?
I'm saying in Georgia, I don't know of any jurisdiction that is doing anything more virtually than, and I don't personally allow in the jurisdictions I work in, I don't know about James, their president, but than anything more simple HVAC change out for residential or a T-pole or a water heater, or maybe a correction of a simple deficiency that we can see very quickly, but there's no first pass, or that's not a term. If you're talking about a framing rough or a ceiling cover or wall cover or anything, those are not appropriate for a virtual inspection, because you cannot see what you need to see, and I have very serious reservations about out-of-state or any virtual inspector, and especially out-of-state, no offense, but a state like Florida, who has a completely different building code than the state of Georgia does.
I mean, there's commonality in international building code. Obviously, Florida has their high wind codes for South Florida, for Miami, and now it's Miami and Dade. And those things exist.
Right.
That's a different world. I get that's a different world. And there's some things they've got, as you know, with strapping and all that. But I'm just saying, for basic code stuff, it's pretty common particularly inside the building. My concern is the ability to, what I've heard you say is, and this is, Mr. Chair, my concern is the replacement of a specific item, to me, is akin to like a punch list inspection. Hey, get this fixed, come back, okay, there it is, you can see this, look, we got the well done right, okay, this is, okay, that's been fixed, check. To me, that's consistent with the scope of like a punch list inspection. When you're talking about a all-around, ground-up inspection.
Right.
No, it's true, you can have inspectors that are lazy, that don't do their job. And it's not that, even when you have individual people, it doesn't mean every inspection goes great. Granted that, my concern is what you're saying is that we talk about virtual, all virtual is not created equal.
That's right.
Looking at a specific thing, I'm cool with that. That gets back, I think our common sense kind of tells us a punch list inspection of these 6 items kind of makes sense. But a comprehensive inspection, there just feels to me like that is far afield from protecting the public. And I have my fights with code officials. I'm not, but I feel like what I'm hearing you say kind of jives with my concern is a comprehensive virtual inspection does not constitute a complete inspection rubric.
Correct. And I don't see language in here that says, that's clear to me that it's optional at the local or county level. It's not clear that it's optional.
So my concern, Mr. Chairman, is scope. I'm not as the timing, that may be some other people's issue. My issue is scope of what the inspection is from a virtual perspective. That's my greatest concern.
Thank you very much. With that, we will end this hearing. It was a hearing only. We'll pick this one back up at our next meeting. Thank you very much for your testimony. You good? Right. Thank you. Our last item on the agenda is SB 447. Have been working with GMA and ACCG. We've addressed many of the concerns. This would be a hearing only today. I think what I'll do, just in the case of time, we've got, was it finance coming in after us? I believe this next bill will take a while as well. So we'll table this bill as well, and we'll hear it next week along with the other bill. So thank you all. With that, we're adjourned.